Have you ever heard a title for a leader that just stops you in your tracks? The Iron Architect of Hama. It sounds powerful, almost creative, but there's something deeply unsettling about it too. In today's explainer, we're going to deconstruct that title for Syria's former leader, Hafez al-Assad, and figure out what it truly means.
Let's start with a quote from the man himself. On the surface, the first part seems fine. Power comes from the people. That's pretty standard, almost democratic sounding. But then he tacks on that last part, and the army. And right there, in that one little phrase, lies the entire riddle of his rule. And that's the absolute heart of the issue, isn't it? The quote presents these two sources of power, but it never says they're on the same team. So what happens when the will of the people and the force of the army are pointing in opposite directions? The answer to that question, well, it's the key to understanding everything. So let's really dig into this philosophy of power, because it's not just some clever turn of phrase, it's a genuine blueprint for how to run a country. This really breaks down the two-faced nature of Assad's rule. On one side, you've got the promise, right? The public-facing idea that power comes from popular support. But then there's the other side, the reality, the enforcement, the army. It's basically saying that if the people's support starts to disappear, there's another, much harder kind of power ready to step in. So how do you manage this very delicate and frankly threatening balance of power? Well, you don't just hope for the best. You build a machine. You architect a system that's designed for one thing and one thing only: total control. And that machine has a name: the secret police state. It's a system where the government's power isn't just in its soldiers you can see on the street, but in its invisible eyes and ears, all designed to watch and control the very people it claims to represent. And here are the key ingredients. It's all about creating this atmosphere of constant surveillance where you feel like you're always being watched. Any kind of dissent, any opposition, is immediately stamped out. The goal? Absolute political control. And it's maintained not through loyalty or love, but through a pervasive, chilling fear. This was the blueprint for control in Assad's Syria. Okay, so let's see how all this theory turns into a brutal reality. We're going to zoom in on the city of Hama because this is where that whole system was put to its most horrifying test.
So, in 1982, an uprising got started in Hama. For the Assad regime, this wasn't just a protest. No way. This was a direct challenge to its entire philosophy of power. This was the people on one side and the state on the other. It was a showdown. And when the people's power was put on display against the state didn't respond with its populist promise. It responded with its iron reality. The army was turned against the people. The result was the Hama massacre. The city was besieged. It was shelled by the Syrian army for weeks. It was the absolutely horrifying, violent endpoint of the secret police state's methods, and it was the ultimate expression of Assad's philosophy of power. With that devastating context, we can finally connect all the dots and understand the true meaning of that title, the Iron Architect. It's a chillingly clear progression, isn't it? It all started with the philosophy, power from the people and the army. That philosophy led to the design of a secret state built for total control. And finally, that design led to the execution in Hama, where that iron force was used to crush popular dissent. So let's look at this quote one last time. Knowing what we know now, it doesn't sound like a statement of balance, does it? It sounds like a threat. It means that power comes from the people, sure, but only as long as they behave. If they don't, the army is right there to remind them where the ultimate power really comes from.
And that is what it means to be the Iron Architect. Hafez al-Assad didn't build with stone and steel. He was the architect of a system of control designed with cold logic and built with the unbending, brutal force of iron. The Hama massacre wasn't a flaw in the design. It was the design's ultimate purpose.
And all this leaves us with a fundamental question, one that echoes far beyond Syria. Is power truly built on the will of the people? Or is it always, in the end, forged from the barrel of a gun? It's a question about what really holds a state together. Is it our consent, or is it our fear?